Hi, Aniquest here. This is my recap for the anime as a reincarnated aristocrat. If you dig my recaps, don't forget to subscribe and smash that notification bell. We see an average Japanese salaryman who works all day and has no social life to speak of. He is stuck in this monotonous and soul-sucking routine until one day he straight up has a heart attack because his life is so damn empty. Next thing he knows, he opens his eyes and finds himself in some old-ass hospital, with a lady standing over him. She says he has a gentle face like his pups, but he can't make sense of what the hell is going on. Then a maid comes in and offers the lady some tea, and that's when he finally catches a glimpse of himself in the tray the maid is holding. He's been reincarnated as a baby named Ars Luvent, and by the time 3 years have passed, he has already begun to make the best of his new life here. Dude done mastered reading and writing and got some mad knowledge about this whole new world. Turns out he was born in the Summer Fourth Empire, ruling over the Summer Fourth continent. Since he ain't never seen a map like this before, he knows for sure he ain't on Earth no more. Lucky for him, he was born into a noble family called the Luvent, so he lived largely in a mega crib with his chef taking care of him. When Ars got reincarnated, he found out he had this crazy ability that nobody else ever had. Homie goes to the guards' training room and asks if he can peep at their practice. They are all cool with Ars, so they ain't see no reason to turn him down, even though it's kinda weird that a 3-year-old is so hyped about watching them fight. While he's strolling around, he notices one guard struggling with a spear. That's his chance to use his special ability called Appraisal. With that, he can see all the stats of this guard named Milas. Turns out his cavalry stat being D ain't all that impressive, but his archery stat being B is legit. So Ars figured Milas would be way better rockin' the archer role. After Milas loses his match, Ars walks up to him and asks if he ever thought about using a bow in his fights instead. Milas thinks bows are for cowards who enjoy being safe while they attack, so he'll never be caught using a weapon like that. But Ars insists that he thinks Milas would be a really good archer if he tried it out. Milas ain't one to normally agree to stuff like this, but since it's Ars asking, he gives in and decides to give it a try, at least once. Dude never even held a bow before, so he ain't feeling too confident about hitting the target. But Ars reassure him, saying he gonna be straight, so he stands in place and draws his bow to fire. The first shot is a bullseye, and Milas can hardly believe what he just managed to pull off. Just to make sure it ain't some fluke, he fires more shots, and each lands in the center, with one even splitting another arrow. After seeing what Milas can do with a bow, all the other guards tell him he should switch to an archer like Ars had said because he sucks at using a spear anyway. They are still curious about how Ars knew Milas would be a beast with the bow though. Ars can't really explain his ability, so he just calls it instinct instead of spilling the beans about seeing folks' stats. He is confident in his ability's accuracy after testing it out, but for some reason, he can't use it on himself. Later at dinner, Ars is getting ready to chow down when his father asks if he really discovered Milas's archery talent. His father is Raven Luvent, and he has a resting grumpy face, so he always looks a little angry even when he isn't. Ars thinks his old man is a legend because he went from a farmer to nobility with just his fighting skills. The dude is so damn powerful, he could take down 10 dudes solo if he wanted. Father tells Ars to work on honing that instinct for spotting other people's talent, because one day Ars is gonna be the lord of the land. And when that day comes, being able to see folks' talent's gonna be hella valuable. He offers his plate of food to Ars, showing some love, saying he wants Ars to grow up quickly. Since that day, Ars has been reading up on the Empire and realized he gonna be straight up screwed if he doesn't change things soon. The rulers of Summer Fourth were straight up corrupt, and because of that, the peasants all over the kingdom revolted. If this keeps going, the whole empire might crumble, leading to some serious wars. As the future lord of this joint, he gonna need to lead his crew into battle, but he ain't got the confidence to say he gonna succeed in a war. So he decides he gotta get prepared for that disaster by gathering up some talented folks to have his back when that day comes. He hit the streets of the city and started using appraisal to scan the people, looking for anyone with some kind of talent. But even after searching for a hot minute and straining his eyes in the process, he still ain't found anybody useful yet. Just then, he saw a kid getting kicked out of a store and denied service by some old lady. Everybody sees what's going down, but they are all racist as hell, so they ain't trying to help out a Malkin. Malkin are the folks who came to Summerforth from across the sea, usually brought in as slaves, so people look down on them. Ars isn't going to just watch him be ostracized by the people, so he walks up to him and offers a loaf of bread that he has on hand. The kid is unsure at first, but he takes the bread, and then Ars use appraisal on him. Turns out this kid named Rate has some serious stats going on. Dude is on par with some of the dopest folks in the world, so if he gets the chance to grow, he will become a force to be reckoned with. Reitz finishes up the bread, and thanks Ars again for the kindness and bounces. But Ars ain't letting such a talented dude slip away, so he trails him till they end up in a dark alley. Reitz stops him, saying it's dumb to be following strangers in sketchy places, but Ars cuts him off and asks to make Rate his retainer. Reitz thinks he is playing, but Ars is dead serious, so he introduces himself as the Lord's son and asks once again for Reitz to join him because Ars can see he got mad talent. Reitz doesn't believe he is as talented as Ars claim, plus he knows it gonna mess with his family's rep if they take in a Malkin like him. Ars say he gonna figure something out, but Reitz still declines the offer and starts walking away. As he is leaving, Ars start chasing after him because he might never find another gifted person like Reitz again. So he switches tactics and tries to bribe him with all the bomb-ass food his family's chef can whip up. Ars bring him back to his house, and Reitz is shocked to see Ars wasn't messing about being the Lord's son. They head inside, and some mouth-watering food gets served to Ars. But even the servants here are straight-up racist, so they only give Reitz a bowl of beans and tell him he can't expect decent grub because he is a Malkin. They want him to eat them crusty-ass beans and bounce. But Ars ain't having none of that blatant disrespect toward his guest. He makes it crystal clear that Reit's gonna get treated like any other guest up in this joint. So they all apologize and hook him up with some legit food this time.
Yeah, boy!
While Reitz is grubbing on his meal, Ars asks him why he ended up on Summerforth in the first place. So he explains that he was part of a group of mercenaries before. But unfortunately, they were all killed on one of their missions. Reitz had been wandering around aimlessly since then until he stumbled upon this place. That's a heart-touching story, but the butler doesn't care in the slightest and urges Ars to make the filthy Malkin boy leave. Ars tells him that he won't be making Reitz leave anytime soon since he brought him here to have him become his official retainer. The butler thinks that's a crazy idea because his father ain't never gonna give the green light for that. And he is right because when Ars spill the beans to his pops about his plans, his old man straight up shuts it down, saying folks like Reitz just ain't on par with the people of Summerforth, so he is worthless. Even his father is racist, so Ars gotta work some magic to make him accept Reitz as a retainer. He tells his father he got a feel for Reitz's mad talent, just like he did with Millet. But even though Raven trusts his son's ability to spot talent, the people of Summerforth are all convinced that Malkin ain't capable of anything good. So they think Reitz can't possibly have that kinda insane talent Ars claim. But Ars ain't backing down, insisting that having Reitz on their side gonna be crucial for the future of their turf. So he suggests his father test Reitz to see if the talent checks out. Raven agrees to test him, and if he passes, he can start as a soldier. But the test he suggests is a straight-up duel, and Reitz gotta win to get the seal of approval. Ars is getting worried because even though Reitz got skills, his father still got a higher prowess score, so winning a fair fight gonna be tough. But lucky for them, Raven is still a decent man, so he ain't gonna go all out against a 14-year-old. He gonna give Reitz a handicap to even the playing field a bit. With them conditions, Ars think Reitz got a solid shot at coming out on top, and Reitz is cool with that, so Raven says they gonna get this duel going right away. While they are walking off so Reitz can fight Ars's father, Reitz pauses for a sec and asks why Ars is going through all this trouble to make him a retainer. The offer makes him happy, but it seems too good to be true, considering he is always getting persecuted because he is a Malkin. Ars assures him that he is putting in all this effort because Reitz means something to him. One day, Ars gonna be the lord of the land, and when that day comes, he wants Reitz right by his side. So Reitz promises to give it his all and win. They roll up to the practice grounds, and everybody is confused as hell about what's going down. Raven asks for practice swords and an hourglass to be brought over. Once they got the gear ready, He explained that all Reitz gotta do was land one hit on him within the time limit to be declared the winner. Ars think this might work in their favor because even though Raven is the elite swordsman around, Reitz's skills should be enough to at least score one hit on him. The duel kicks off, and Raven straight up charges at Reitz with all his might. Reitz is nimble though, and manages to dodge, but he can feel that if that hit connected, it would have wrecked him, practice sword or not. Raven is stronger than him, but Reitz is still holding his own in the fight. The other soldiers are hella impressed because they couldn't keep up with Raven at all, and that was when he took it easy on them. But now, Raven is going after Reitz without holding back. Then Reitz gets smacked in the shoulder, sending him bouncing off the floor. He gets back up and looks over at Ars, who is cheering him on. That pumps him back up, and he is ready to keep the fight going. He comes at Raven with a new strategy, ducking under his strike and sneaking behind him. He uses the sun's glare as cover to mess with Raven's vision and land a hit. Raven still blocks it, but once Reitz steps back to create some space, he declares that the duel is over. Reitz looks back to make sure he hasn't run out of time, making sure there's still sand in the hourglass. That means he landed a hit on Raven, even if it was just a light tap. Everybody is straight up stunned by what Reitz pulled off, and Raven gives him props for the win. He admits Ars was right about Reitz's insane talent, and now that he saw it with his own eyes, he knows Reitz got the potential to be a top-tier swordsman in the future. Ars also has a bright future ahead of him if he is able to find such talent so easily. Raven was worried about how Ars gonna handle the craziness of the world when shit hit the fan, but now it looks like he ain't gotta worry about nothing. Ars may have managed to become the new emperor of the land. That's a little ambitious for the lord of such a small village. Reitz gained mad respect from the soldiers now that they saw what he was capable of. And a little while later, Ars swung by to check if Reitz was getting comfy in his new life here. Reitz is rocking his fresh uniform. He decided to take on servant duties too because he wanted to help out as much as he could. He also shows major gratitude to Ars for saving him from a life on the streets. To pay back that debt, he gonna stand by Ars's side from now on. A few months go by, and we find out Reitz has been chilling mostly with Ars, instead of getting in on the battlefield action. But he's been hella helpful and showing off some sick fighting skills. Reitz has been getting his knowledge game on with a ton of tutoring, and it's boosted his ingenuity stat like crazy. Now he's one of the smartest folks in the whole crew. Once the peeps in the household and the domain got to know Reitz, they straight up accepted him. The maids can't help but gossip about him, talking about how hot he is. One day, Reitz drops some history knowledge on Ars. He breaks it down that the Summer Fourth Empire was originally made up of 7 kingdoms. One of those kingdoms, Ansel, had mad power, so it straight up invaded and conquered the other 6 kingdoms. King Anathus of Ansel declared himself the emperor, and he renamed the whole damn continent the Summer Fourth Empire. But right now, the entire empire is in deep trouble. The ruler in charge is an 8-year-old kid named Bidoras, but the real power is held by his advisors, and they be beefing with each other. With weak leadership, revolts are starting to break out. They're small scale for now, but even Raven had to send troops to calm things down. This situation could blow up big time, so Ars realizes he gotta use his appraisal ability to recruit some talented peeps to his side before it goes down. Ars's family resides in this spot called Mission Territory, so he's shocked when Ars predicts that the major conflict's gonna pop off there. The governor there is old as dirt and in bad health, so it's likely he won't be around for much longer. He's got 2 sons, and they both want to inherit his position, which could straight up lead to war. Ars's dad believes the older son should take over as governor, but he doesn't have a say in which side he ends up fighting for, because he ain't directly serving the governor. Lamberg is in this district called Canar, and Raven serves as its headman. Ars is feeling pretty damn nervous because he's just a kid, and so far, the only dope prospect he's found is Reitz. Luckily, Reitz sees all this as a golden opportunity. If a lord can show off his skills in a major conflict, it can help him rise up in the world. Ars gets inspired, and they decide to level up and get stronger to increase their chances. Reitz promises to protect Ars and asks for his help in finding the right peeps to make that happen. While they're rolling into town, Ars peeps that his pops has been training more often. It's pretty clear he senses a war coming. Ars lets his pops know that he's gonna go scout for more recruits, so Raven asks him to find someone with mad magic skills. Turns out, Raven can't handle magic like a pro, and the folks who can ain't all that great either. He once asked Ars to try his hand at magic, so Ars gave it a shot using some magical device. But he was straight up trash at it. His pops never asked him again after that. But having a mage on their team would seriously amp up their forces, so Ars is hella determined to find the best magic candidate out there. They hit up the capital of the Kenar district, where Ars is shocked when he finds out there's 50,000 peeps living there. Everyone's looking hella wealthy, and Ars dreams of giving his Lamberg people that kind of good life one day. Reitz is sure they'll find a dope candidate, so many people there. But Ars uses his ability for a while and can't find anyone with real potential. See, Ars's ability shows him a person's stats in numbers and aptitude ranks, but the true talent comes from a combo of both. Just having high stats without the right aptitude ain't gonna cut it. Ars starts feeling down because he can't find the right person. But Reitz reminds him there's no need to rush. As they keep exploring, Ars comes across an alley where people be living. He's straight up shocked, so Reitz schools him. Where there's wealth, there's always poverty. It's like prosperity breeds inequality or some shit. Reitz realizes Ars saved him from this kind of life. But sadly, they can't do nothing for these folks right now. Ars has a realization. See, before, he was just looking at all the fancy shit and thinking it was a good town. But in his eyes, a good town is where even the less fortunate can make something of themselves. He knows he might be naive, but he wishes he could find their next candidate from among these less fortunate peeps. Reitz doesn't think he's naive one bit, and Ars is straight up shocked when he says he's proud to be his aide. After that, they head to the biggest market in town, where someone offers Ars a dragon egg. Ars straight up can't believe dragons exist in this world, and the merchant peeps how hyped he is. So the merchant offers to hook him up with some rare eggs for just 1 silver each. Ars is all ready to drop that cash, but Reitz is mad as hell at the merchant. Ars is shocked, but Reitz knows this dude smuggled those eggs illegally because trade's been frozen with the northern continent. Plus, the size and spots on the eggs don't even look legit. And what's even more suspicious is that this merchant has a whole stash of rare dragon eggs. Reitz figures out they're actually giant lizard eggs, so he decides this merchant's punishment for embarrassing Ars should be death. Ars pleads with Reitz to stop, so Reitz apologizes for going overboard. Ars starts worrying that Reitz gonna go off like this every time he gets played, so he decides to smarten up real quick before someone ends up 6 feet under. They take a break to chow down, but when Ars tries to buy some candy, someone bumps into him. He's surprised when Reitz points out that his money got snatched, so they go after the thief. This thief's pretty damn speedy, making it hard to catch up, but Reitz rips off their coat and reveals it's a girl. They follow her into an alley, where she's getting jumped by some dudes. Ars tells them to back off, so they try to attack him, but Reitz shuts them down and teaches them a little lesson. They bounce, and Ars thinks his homie is hella cool. Ars checks on the girl to see if she's alright, and he's shocked to find out she's an S-tier mage with insane potential. Not only that, her leadership can reach 92, and her prowess can go as high as 116. She's a super young girl, but her skills rival even Ars's dad. Every stat that ain't magic related is weak. But that's all good because she must already have some insane magic power. Reitz tells her to give Ars his money back, but Ars interrupts and asks her to be his retainer. Reitz points out she's a thief, but Ars reveals that she's got incredible magic talent like he's never seen before. But the girl cuts in and straight up says she'd rather end her own life than serve a kid like Ars. Ars tries to tell her she's got insane magic potential, but she don't believe him because she's never even used magic before. This clever kid peeps the situation from a whole different angle and figures out that she's a straight up thief because she's been through some rough times. So he breaks it down for her, saying that if she rolls with him as his retainer, she'll get a fat paycheck and regular meals. But damn, the girl ain't having it. She straight up calls Ars a spoiled brat and hates on nobles. She wonders what gives them the right to look down on others. She thinks they're just born lucky and don't do jack to earn their privilege. She makes it crystal clear that she ain't trying to be a tool to protect Ars's fancy lifestyle. Ars explains that he ain't no fancy noble like the ones she's talking about. He wants to build a town where people like her can live good lives, and he needs her help for that. The girl points out that these people are suffering right now, and his idea of helping them later sounds mad naive to her. She assumes Ars just wants her help to flex on others how kind he is and make himself feel good. Reitz jumps in to keep it simple and tells her to give the money back. So she does because she don't want to owe them for saving her. Ars notices a mark on her wrist, and she spills that she got caught sneaking into some noble's house and ended up getting sold off to a slave trader. She managed to escape, so those dudes Reitz beat down were the trader's lackeys. Ars thinks she should bounce from town because they're looking for her, but she says she can't. Just then, a bunch of kids come up and give her a big hug, and she points out that these lil homies ain't got parents and no one to love them. She can't just abandon them like that. Ars gets it now, so he agrees to lay off trying to recruit her, but he hooks her up with his money pouch. She reminds him that he's giving it to her willingly, so he can't ask for it back. Ars says it's all hers now, so she calls him a weirdo and dips out with the orphan kids. That night, Ars can't get the girl's tough life out of his mind. Reitz knows the struggle too, and tells him straight up that the world ain't kind to those at the bottom. She probably got treated like trash by nobles in the past, and that's why she hates them. Reitz points out that Ars ain't like that, but Ars realizes he's been taking his privileged lifestyle for granted, so he understands why she sees him that way. Ars really wants to build a better town, and she might have been right with what she said. Just then, Ars spots the orphan kids from earlier, and they spill that the girl named Charlotte got captured. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.